Thank you so much. This is just a friendly reminder that we love language here. We love all languages here. So if you read in a language that isn't English, please feel free to do so proudly and with your full voice. And if people in the audience are like, we don't know what they're saying, that's their problem. So we say learn another language and come and read poetry here. So next up to bat to read for us is another past feature, or is a past feature. Bill, if Bill can come up.
Thank you, Jason. I have 3 poems tonight. They're love poems for a change, not political. 2 are very short, and 1 is a little bit longer. I'm going to start with a short one first. It's called Waking at Dawn. Waking with tears in my eyes, and this is the next to the last time waking with tears in my eyes and you sleeping beside me. Dawn. This one called What Remains. I try to imagine what remains of us. The sun must be lower in the sky now. Its light brightening a clear blue October sky. I imagine the wrought iron picnic bench where we sat and had lunch is still beneath the shading tree. The groundskeepers most likely have not yet brought it in to shelter from the coming winter. The tree's leaves are thinning now, drying, drifting, singly and in 2s and 3s, sifting to the invisible shape of our ghosts who linger, unwilling to part from where we once sat, across from each other. A gust of wind blows the table clean, our ghosts fragment into a flurry of leaves like words, here and then gone. I wonder, does the earth too have a memory? Can the large grassy hill above and beyond the cow barn still feel our footsteps imprinted on the rutted path? What remains when present becomes past? Is there a mark on the soul that says someone knocked and never entered? Would my eyes be tearing up right now if it wasn't true? If I had never heard these 3 words, I love you? This one's called End of Story. You ask how you can help. You could tell me that I matter to you. You could tell me what I want to believe, that it was more than just feelings that were and now are not. But why should love be any different than life? We are, and then we are not. End of story. Why should this fact, you loved me and now you do not, be so hard? That's it.
So I know I said I would say this 3 times. So today, this is the second in which I thank Holyoke Local Cultural Council and Mass Cultural for their generous support of Open Mic'd. Open Mic'd is a monthly event. We are on the 3rd Saturday the third Saturday of the month now. So that is our new official date. You used to just have to watch for us on social media and guess when we were going to be. But now we were like, that's not a good way to get an audience in. So now we are the third Saturday of every month. And again, we are brought to you by a generous grant from Holyoke Local Cultural Council. And I'm going to bring up another feature, Chaya, if you can come up. And did I mispronounce your name again? I've done that before. Kaya. Sorry, everyone.
Hi, thanks. Sorry, I'm just finding it. Okay. Okay, this is called My Lace House. I constructed it of corsets too big for me. Corsets with texture you can run your finger along for satisfaction, but do not get to the yoke that way. Celestial, we say in our flamboyant outfits that no longer fit us. They started out flamboyant, but we grew so much that they are now like corsets themselves, tight and hard to fit into. As we eat our salads with vinaigrette, we chomp lettuce loudly, lettuce grainy with dirt, lettuce we picked ourselves, and you can tell because it's crunchy and hard to swallow. Despite being pretty and dressed nicely with balsamic and oil, I've become callous to it, and that's why I run my fingers along corsets too big for me that are grainy. I want to feel something. My lace house so flammable, so easy to blow away. And yet, those corsets are strong, almost immovable. I feel them both, the dainty and the rigid, back and forth, swinging like lanterns in the blue hour on a summer night with Venus bright in the sky. Celestial, lacy, grainy, vinegary, crunchy, tight, untouchable, hot, callous, textured, rough to the touch, fitted. Designed for us, and I hope designed for me too. That's that one. Okay, let's see. Okay, this is a recent one. This is before I was allergic to you. Before I was allergic to you, I would walk down narrow paths lined with you, oblivious alongside rivers, your vines winding up trees with their thick hairs, your leaves in threes, red, green, shining. I did not notice you, only the edible flowers, herbs, berries all around you. I bushwhacked, peed in the woods, meandered off trail without concern of consequences. For my first 3 decades of life, a free animal in nature, it was all safe until it wasn't. That fateful summer festival in Northern California, I went to on impulse, completely spontaneous, like the lover you take on your first meeting. Someone said, "There's poison oak here." But like all 29-year-olds who have not suffered that particular thing, I thought nothing. 3 days in a tent without a shower, and 5 days later back at home in San Francisco, my body covered in rashes. And ever since then, you have found your way to me, to the bottom of my butt when I sat by a tree, my insides when I used you to pee, and again when I walked into your leaves and touched the bottom of my pants and then my own insides. You have become my favorite plant to see, keeping me on path, though I can no longer walk off trail to the left or right. The threat of you is everywhere, and I know the consequences of contact with you, even a little. No more bushwhacking, peeing without looking for you, caressing the myriad of unknown plant families off trail, For the rest of my life, I must stay on the path, stay on the wide trails, never deviate or risk the unknown. But I keep thinking, when I get very old and know I will die tomorrow, I want to take one last romp and tryst through the woods in the wild places where you are. And when you come for me with your rash in 5 days, 7 days, I will be gone. I will have run around in you freely and without consequence one last time. And maybe my dead body will break out in a glorious rash, not of pain or itch or the itch I could not scratch, but the glory of having meandered and having touched you. Okay, I just want to see if I can find this other one. Oh, okay, here's one. Sorry, I need to turn this Wi-Fi back on. Sorry, I'm not very well prepared today, I apologize. Thank you. Okay, here's one. Okay, in the world. Birds so loud, but I did not notice them until the conversation ceased. They compete with traffic, or harmonize, or make noise next to each other. I did not land until I was at the end of my walk, and then saw what was around me. Pine trees, empty bike kiosk, the smiling faces. A motorcycle plows through all the other sounds, the setting sun a sliver on my cheek, no longer warming me. I want a life where I write and read it out loud every day. After all, the birds sing for us all day, even though it is not for us in their motivation, but every action is for everyone. And that is why every day I want to read out loud what I wrote to an audience who hears it. The birds sing first to each other. We are a secondary audience. I want to read to my own species, even though every other being and thing hears it, which I see when I drive home. The atmosphere and scenery, the sky, moon, road, houses, street lights, traffic lights, deer in the night, have heard me. I have entered their world, which is now my world. I have entered the world, which is always where I want to be. In the world, here, with my surroundings, a small orange-chested bird hopping, a dark squirrel leaping, everyone in their own world and the same world at once. That's that one. I'll read one more. Okay, this is an old one. It's called Next Time. Sometimes you see an orange thing and it will scream at you before you think of your voice range and how it would feel to play a team sport or juggle bricks of cheese, since happiness came to you all bottled up and hot with aimlessness, but frozen, since all things freeze when cold. Dreaming, you called your brother to fantasize on rings of dust and the howls of coyotes in the rainforest. And you are trying to be bold. You keep saying that like a misfit or a solid ravioli. You tumble around with excuses and handsome owl faces, but underneath your suit and tie, you are more of a skateboarder than a you or an I. Yet capital letters haunt you in your slumber. Your eyelids fall heavily down to rest. Next time, you plan to hold on longer before weeping, before allowing summer in, before being practical, before allowing eyewitnesses, before misplacing your worries and cares, before being stoic and manly, but to hold on less before diving into the deep blue sea. Thanks.
I was listening. So we do a thing here. We just started doing it where we say, does anyone have a burning desire to come and read a poem? Because the list is closed, so this is your last chance. No? Okay. Again, this is Open Mic'd. We are brought to you by a generous grant from the Holyoke Local Cultural Council and Mass Cultural. I told you I would say it 3 times tonight. This is also the moment in the evening where I go, hey, would anyone mind if I read a poem? Like, you have a choice. You don't. I'm going to read 2 poems. So it's Pride. So happy Pride, everyone. This is called Pride Used to Be a Knife Fight. Hanging over the side of buildings to cover a window with bar mats because the light it let in was too straight. Dodging bottles and cans from pickup trucks while wearing high heels. The excitement of finding a dark corner or unlocked rooftop. Wishing you luck before you leave home. Today I gave 3 12-year-olds in rainbow fairy wings and faces full of glitter a poster explaining the intersection of disability and queerness. They laughed and giggled about finally feeling seen. I joked with their moms that this isn't how Pride used to be. They answered, wasn't that the point? That's all from that poem. And for my final poem of the evening, a quiet moment for my grandfather's left leg. I am not bereft of hope. Like an armful of cow parsnip burns, it grows more painful in the sun of the imperial desert. A defiance of canals, water, send us rain, to drench the calcite encased in limestone, broken bottles and fresh ash. Shuttle against the asphalt, a bobbin between waft and warp, a plastic bag altar cloth marked with chalk, hung over the desert hospital window as a makeshift shade against the moonlight. My shoes will never match again. Sulfa bedmates and the expectation of amputation, waiting and waning through the flood of pig wallow waters, an accidental and 2-year-long voyage. It is a promise of twisted and rusted metal to every human everywhere, that Sundays will be held close to the chest of virgins, saying their quiet prayers against cynicism, and I will carry them, limping with me into the wider world. Thank you. Yay! Yay! And now we have a featured reader, and I extended that so I could pull up their bio. There it is. So I would like everyone to help me welcome Pretto. Pretto, he, they is a... Kai. I told you I would mess something up. I always mess something up. Kai Pretto is a genderqueer and neurodivergent poet whose poetry vacillates between the deeply surreal and the uncomfortably grounded. When he is not writing poetry or running his beloved Western Massachusetts monthly queer poetry night, which you should go to on Mondays. Mondays?
One Monday a month, but it is this coming Monday.
This coming Monday. He works full-time as an elementary school speech therapist and runs an upcycling 4-H crafting club for kids. Kai also has an extensive collection of fossils and minerals, which they will almost always talk to you about at length. Their poetry has most recently been published in Mini Nice Donkeys, Stirrings, The Shore, and Fauxmoir Lit Magazine. With the assistance of their resourceful print artist and zinemaker fiance, they recently released their first ever DIY chapbook, Carapace. Kai currently lives in Hampden County with a menagerie of parrots. And that's where it cut off.
That's so funny. A menagerie of parrots and cats.
Yeah, so welcome to the stage.
I'm not good at my job.
Jason, could you give me a hand?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah, okay. Sweet, thank you. All right, yeah, so first and foremost, I'm Kai. Hi, y'all. As Jason had said, I do run an open mic. It's kind of my baby. I love it. And the next one is this Monday, and we are currently at the Brick House in Turner's Falls. So that starts at 6:30 if you want to sign up, or you want some writing prompts, which I will get into during the set. And then we usually start around 7:30. All right. I am incredibly time blind, so I'm setting a timer for myself. Okay. As Jason had also mentioned, this is the very rough draft of my chapbook when we were still printing it in black and white. And it is going to be a real bound book soon. So if you're like, wow, I'd like to read more of that poetry, we have a little sign up by the open mic sign up list out front. All right. A lot of feedback. Dreamwalker. I have cut them open. They are wicked, wild things. Tomorrow I will hallucinate the future. Tomorrow I will not wash my hair. Dreams tumble in, fog thick. I stick stone to tongue, and awash in riptide, I am drowning in my own mouth. Mimicry. There is something blooming, vibrant in the afterglow of yesterday, caught in the space between days. Can you tell me if the answer to our questions is lemon yellow or aquamarine? Red currants and black beetles. Can you taste them the way that things unspoken catch in the back of your mouth? Hide behind your molars. There is, too, something sitting in the darkness saying my name like a mantra, like a song. I am uncertain if I should keep to the shadows, if night has ever served me well. The stars are willing to glow only because they must. Firefly, spread your wings and bloom. You do not need the night to thrive. It is dangerous in the dark, you all wide open and sparkling, you all wide open and naive. You have written the same message so many times with no answer, so when it comes, a tidal wave of longing, you cannot stop yourself long enough to question the source. But there are lightning bugs with ravenous teeth masquerading as sweetness that will cut you open, drag out all your light. The night has worn you for so long you cannot remember the sun. So glow, glow in the light of day when only you can see it. Glow when the sun is up and you are alone and the moon is only a whisper of a memory. Glow when children will not expect it, when they will marvel at the stars that have made quilts of the days. Glow so that you may be hidden in plain sight, and so when darkness asks where you have been, you can say, everywhere you have not, everywhere you will never be. Glow so brilliant you vibrate, so your feet are feet and your own mouth no longer a mystery. Compression. So if anyone doesn't know, when you're in the hospital, they will give you yellow socks if you are a fall risk. And that's the only thing you need to know about this poem. All right. Compression. I wear yellow socks so you know my heart has a tendency to fall out my feet a tendency to leave the earth. It is a rapid fire shot in the dark. Pluck of violin strings until they snap, wild, prickly hairs curling out into nothing. I am a mass of fibrous strings all sewn together, all woven through. Hearts are meant to stay inside us, but sometime mine expands too much, too full with goodness, and it longs to escape, burst out and through. Hummingbird wings in a mason jar filling up with marbles. Stars blink rapidly in and out of existence. I am so many questions wrapped up in a person. What happens when I find the answers? Blur at the edges so that everything right in front of me is precise to the atom, down to the millisecond. Time becomes an amorphous thing. Slips away, snaps back, a scale, a pendulum. It swings sideways, and sometimes, nearly imperceptibly, it just stops. Free float in space and nothing hurts. And then hurtling asteroid careening through glass doors, fireflies swarming, tender touches like fiberglass or bee stings that whisper soft. My feet again in these yellow socks, my palms sweaty, and now my eyelids rapid, now my tongue, now my stomach, knees, fingertips, small of my back, now here, now ache. The hummingbird has gone to sleep, and all the dust has turned to harmless mote, tiny bits that float and sparkle in only the right light. So one of the prompts that I give folks when they come to the open mic is this list of 5 random words that are then intended to be turned into a poem. So I like to do it myself, so I'm like, look, you can do it. And the 5 words that I had here were enlarge, thunderstorm, falsify, conceive, and nuance. There is a thunder crack in the distance, and I have recently learned that scientists believe that dogs sense storms before people because their noses are more sensitive to petrichor. That the crackle of electricity and the shift in barometric pressure is conceived, is literal, as is the buzz of fluorescence. I am not lying. I'm not embiggening, enlarging the truth. I know when the storm is coming too. I can feel it in my bones and the rattle of brain neurons setting themselves on fire. I have come to learn that not everyone experiences the world as an onslaught. Sirens that slice into eardrums and the nuance between textures, sandpaper, cotton rasp, and styrofoam squirm. I spent much of my life making myself small, but I can no longer falsify the magnitude of my experience. each ripple in the atmosphere perceptible, each sunrise as distinct as a fingerprint. Sorry, give me just 1 second. There we go. All right. Crashing into the light. How many lifetimes have passed while I wasn't paying attention? The sound of voices I have not heard in years ricochet through the hallways, catch around my ankles in my sleep. I awake with familiar feelings in unfamiliar places, the screech of tires in the middle of the night. Some days I am unsure how I ended up thousands of miles from where I started. How uncertain, how unpredictable it all has become. I have sloughed off the skin of who I used to be, the endless dust of aging. I am peeling off the layers until I get to the middle. Onion vulnerable. At the core center is the solid metal sphere no amount of meditation can crack. Hovers and bobs and manifest in violent tumults crashing long into the night. I learned to speak before I knew what words meant, rolling around the sounds because they were pleasant in my mouth. I had become astute at finding the right ones for every mood, every room, a catalog of scripts so complex they look like conversation. Can you tell me what it means when someone says they love you and then they break your heart? When their mouth is an empty O and their eyes are wildfires you will never put out? When their eyes are vernal pools full of dead shrimp? When their mouth is a watchtower, a searchlight, a prison? I am looking for something warm and round I can hold in my hands and call mine. I am searching for the feeling of winter mornings at 7. Everything so hushed, and here I am cradled inside of what I have found. All right, so now you're gonna get a brand new poem. I haven't edited this at all, but I read it through a few times, and it feels like the space to read it, so. It is clear to me that the concept of hell as it is written in the Bible was created by someone who never actually lived a life of trauma. That if they had known the daily pain, they would know that it gets almost boring, monotonous, starts to dull around the edges. Endless torturing just becomes the new baseline. I can see the horror, though, maybe, in having your liver pecked out because you heal and wait, and then it comes again. The most terrible eternal torture is waiting, having experienced so much hurt, having expectations that the world will treat you kindly. Sometimes the greatest torture is a woman in a John Deere hat in a rural gas station telling you, bearded, non-binary person with a septum piercing, that she likes your turquoise holographic fingernails. Because you say thank you, and you smile, and you wish her a nice night, and then you sit in your car and you wait. And you don't know what you're waiting for, but it could be a smashed windshield or an angry man with rough hands, and when it doesn't happen, You just wait some more. I hope one day that the feeling of waiting goes away, that I can experience goodness and not wait for the dark cloud to come over the horizon, that I can experience goodness and take it just as it is and drink it like honey water, with the rapidity of hummingbird and the sereneness of oak or mushroom or moss. Electrogenic. I had been told to drown as fish is to be full up with oxygen, to become buoyant with oxygen, to bloat and expand like overstretched balloon, like blobfish so unjustly named. But I know that there is oxygen in the ocean, and it is not too much, but not enough, that dries out their skin and leaves them breathless. So to desire land and dirt and stone, perplexing inversion of sea, of wave and moon tug and silt, is to be unfish, say the others who will shrivel in the shining sun. But truth is a motley thing that wears many faces. I did not know I was electric eel, obligate air breather, hundreds of volts swirling in a self-protective storm. I cannot breathe through my gills, no matter how often I am told to, how often I have tried. Yet I can survive where gill breathers cannot. And I can survive too, underwater, long enough to masquerade as fish. But when I race to the surface, gulp mouthfuls hungrily into bloody mouth, I expand, not overfull, but satiated, and bask in the sun that the other fish cannot understand, will never see. All right, this is a much older poem. It is rooted like a little bit in fact, and a lot in fantasy. All right. Disappearing Act. The sky is the electric white of useless television sets and dreams. The songs sifting through the darkness are full of uncouth and wild. Cacophonic choir of skateboards and broken bottles scraped along electrified fences, knuckles busted open. Insomniac eyes frantic in the dark. The boy with the missing front tooth is all bone, swallowed up by oversized combat boots, black leather jacket. In each hand is a pet store plastic bag of goldfish. Bodies thrashing against transparent enclosure, scales flickering iridescent under streetlights, restless comprehension of what is to come. What wicked things can boys do in the darkness? What magic is bestowed and beaten from the earth? And then, as some horrific nightmare vision, strange enough to be real, bags emptied into mouths, bulging eyes glinting as they vanish into toothy voids. Then a gallon of milk from each mother's fridge poured in after, chasing monsters, chasing monsters until hunched over, tiny bodies spewed onto sidewalks, engorged and orange tails lashing. Time and space expand to hold the uncertainty of this moment, caught between what has not yet occurred and what cannot be undone. There is no reason to the chaotic rebellion of youth, no sense to the specter of death in each boy's mouth. If only to fray the string that still binds them to their mothers, shadow of adolescence that haunts each boy child. This one, again, with the missing front tooth and belt made of bullets, gangly arms burned with irons and pricked by basement ink. The fish are silent. There is a solemnity as each boy walks away, no longer laughing. Now the rain will wash from the sidewalk the inverted shadows where each body lay, until all that is left wet asphalt and streetlights. Now the lightning will slash open the sky and bring only goodness. Now we must wait for seasons to change, for boys to grow, for stars to burn out and be born. Now someone must collect each fish, seed-like bodies pressed to shallow earth, and pack down the dirt and sing for more storms. Know there will always be more. What will come in the spring? What horror or beatific wonder? Tiger lilies will bloom, each more vibrant than the next. They must. All right, I have 3 more poems for you. The sound of the children is deafening. There is something wild and unfettered in the language of coming unraveled, undone. I cannot imagine something unspoken, but then it opens up. As petals, as flower, stamen, and bee vomit, so violently beautiful, pollen stretching up and ever upward. I am going to take on the voice of someone else. I am going to jump and climb into the skin of someone I have never met. The start of something. An impossible distance from beginning to end, a black hole deep dive into the subconscious of strangers. I am certain there is something untoward in the coming and going, something naked and unnamed. I am going to dance in the firelight of 1,000 dying suns. I am going to walk the distance from here to there in a moment. The science of being is not about where we started, magic unfit for sharing. Crack open the mouths, pour acid into eyes, drink deep of the space that cannot exist without knowing. Reimagine the planet as a spinning top of uncertainty, a blue and green orb stretching at its poles outward eternally into the vacuum of stars and dreams. What is God but a child's fantasy of being something bigger than they are? Drink deep of the space that is galaxy-sized and sparkling, rippling into the ether of nowhere. In the dark echoes of space, there is only the children laughing, only the loudness of incomplete sentiments and louder sighs. Okay, so I have 2 more poems I'm going to read, and I'm just deciding which one I'm going to read first. Okay. To shine, bright white and unwritten. There is a mountain that forms from the tectonic smash of skin and marrow. A mountain that is formed from the soot of lost selves built up with spit and mud and the crackle of autumn leaves I saved in tiny piles under my bed at 7. Am I a mountain or a pile of pebbles made to look like one? If you pull out the pieces, if you unzip the skin, will the facade crumble into the harmless cadence of rocks skipped over river? Last week, a swooping shadow landed in the snow and left a hawk-shaped divot behind. There is a memory of a bird, embossed whisper that will stick to pavement when all the snow has returned to flakes, and then water, and then air. When it has evaporated to moisture in the wind, only I will be able to see it. Shadow cast on pavement that sparkles, oil slick under moonlight. Will I be hollowed out? Will I find that my insides have been full of tiny sprites mining for ore, and that when you tear down the mountains, unstack the pebbles, the integrity of the entire structure that is me will collapse? What am I made of if you subtract and subtract? This Christmas morning feeling mix of anxiety and fear, excitement and glee, hopeful, ever hopeful that the latter will tip the scale towards something like I imagined before I awoke. But I am not a child, not afraid of the monsters that lurk and creak and creep in my periphery. I have plucked out their claws. I kept them in drawers for many years, but time has come to throw them out. Old, rotten things long past the point of charm or hex or curse, long past the point of bauble or trinket or fossil to inspect in somber silence. Recently, I began talking to trees again, to rock and stone and ammonites long forgotten by history or ocean current. The trees have told me I am bolder, and the rocks have told me I am rooted. And I, rutilated quartz, I, towering birch tree, I can trim the limbs no longer needed and still be whole. I can pluck off dead leaves, peel bark, and write sweet symphonies to myself upon my own skin. And rotten limbs remove, dead leaves cast away, I am lighter, buoyant in the way only a tree can be. And then I will nurture the vulnerable sap, the sticky blood of awakening, and give myself freely, for the first time, days and hours and seasons needed to bloom. All right, this is my last poem. Thank you so much. Honey salve. We catch snowflakes on our tongue without mittens. We sustain ourselves on each other's breath. We sit in this winter chill and wait for flower pollen and bees. In the maelstrom of words, in the storm of becoming, there is something that sparkles. Broken glass or miracle. I am a human in a body experiencing pleasure, skin on skin, and I have lost track of what it means to have ever felt anything other than this. My skin is a roadmap, short history of everything that has been, sting and twist, and there is blood beneath the surface. My skin is a subway map of love, destinations unknown and also familiar. Tropical herb and corner store, mausoleum and market. Tip warm tea into my wide open mouth as the sun decides the outline of today. Feel the jerk and tremble in the sun-warm kiss and scream of everything coming unraveled and put back together again. Puzzle pieces in the floorboards, the plants know your name. Black specter in the doorway, this is so many lives lived in an instant. I am whispering mantras, sweet spells of beginning. Thank you for everything you have already given me and everything that has yet to be. Thank you for sunrise and moonfall, for sunset and moonrise. Thank you for galaxies imploding 50,000 light years from this bed. Thank you for the sound of your breathing, for the wholeness of you. There is magic that crinkles in the corner of your eyes. Cup stardust in the palm of your hand and feed me slowly. Let me lick the salt and sting of it from each fingertip. Paint this room lemon yellow and maroon and the silver light of mid-morning. Open your mouth, and I shall open mine, as we ask together, hum, whisper, white noise of bees. What lifetimes have passed inside of this moment? What clocks have stopped today? Who first mixed the paint that colored everything blue? How have I already known you forever? With eyes closed, each question opens up, petal soft and sticky, waiting desperately for the honey need of bees. Thank you.
And so with that, another open mic is in the books for the month. We hope to see everyone back in July on the third Saturday of the month, which is now our official new day. Thank you again to Holyoke Public Media for providing this amazing space. Thank you to Kai for being our feature. And I swear I will not mess up another name tonight because we're done. Please buy the chapbook. You can sign up for the chapbook early release thingamabob in the other room. And thank you all. Have a good night.